Podcasting, fuck that shit. Pabst Blue Ribbon. Blue Velvet's coming up next.
Haven't Seen It with Tim Sestito and Tommy Tavernet. Hello, everybody. Welcome on in. Thank you all so much for listening today. This is a podcast where one of us is watching a movie for the very first time, and today that is Tommy. Tommy, I'm making you watch another David Lynch movie right before
Yeah.
you make me watch a bunch of Halloween movies. Woo!
Yeah, exactly. So, we're kicking off spooky season, which is a movie that I wouldn't technically say is a horror movie, but I think it's creepy enough.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's creepy. It's like this underlying s- corruption that exists in like the white picket fence America, right? Like I
mm,
think Lynch sets that up pretty beautifully at the beginning of the film and kind of realizing that all these towns have this corrupt underbelly that's kind of running the show. It
mm,
makes it very interesting to kind of explore that through the eyes of Jeffrey, and of course we have Kyle MacLachlan, regular David Lynch performer, Laura Dern, regular Lynch performer as well.
mm.
Um, and Tommy, for you, not a Lynch head at all, just give us your general thoughts of it before we dive further into the movie later.
So I've only really seen four Lynch projects. Mulholland Drive, which we covered on the podcast, I think 2 years ago. Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me, which Timmy made me watch. Went to a screen of at the Alamo Draft House. And then Twin Peaks season one. So of the four, Blue Velvet being the fourth, I think Blue Velvet's my favorite of the Lynches. I think it's his most straight ahead of the movies I've seen of his. And I think it's just a great mystery. I think Dennis Hopper gives an all-time heater performance and just great vibes right there. I think this is Lynch at his best right here, where it's just not too confounding bullshit.
Yeah, there you were like, should we do Eraserhead or this? And I was like, let's not do Eraserhead, Tommy. You will hate that movie with
Yeah.
all of like you will hate that movie so much.
Mm.
Uh I wouldn't do that to you now, but I will do it to you at a later point in time. It's actually not my favorite Lynch, but I've only seen it once. I've heard it grows on you as you watch it more and more. But um Tommy, what movies have you watched recently? Give me a little movie that you might have caught in the theaters recently.
All right. So last week, after my car broke down, I went to go
Hmm.
see a screening of The Substance, the new Demi Moore movie.
I want to see this.
Really good body horror movie. Demi Moore and Dennis Quaid right here. I think that it's just a real mindfuck of a movie, very Cronenberg vibes, especially towards the end. I definitely recommend seeing it in theaters. I was in a screen with two other people, and the two other people and I throughout the movie were looking at each other, like looking back, like, "What the fuck? Are you kidding me? What's going on the screen right now?" And it's a great. I'm hoping that comes to like a Demi Moore like career revitalization because I was thinking about this. We knew who Demi Moore was growing up because she was married to Ashton Kutcher for our generation, like millennials and stuff like that. I feel like by the time that like we started paying attention to movies, like around like our middle school era, which is like '06, '07, Demi Moore pretty much career stopped outside of being in the tabloids or being married to Ashton Kutcher. Like, what's the last new Demi Moore movie you think you've seen?
Couldn't tell you. I don't know if I've ever
Exactly.
seen a Demi Moore movie, to be honest with you.
Well, that will probably have to change. Ghost, maybe I haven't seen Ghost either, but
I've seen
A
Ghost.
Few
I've
Good
seen
Men,
Ghost.
A Few
I've
Good
seen
Men.
Ghost. Oh, right, a few good. Yeah, she had some bangers. I just couldn't think of them off the dome there for Demi Moore.
Yeah, so she was someone that like had a big career in like the '90s, but by the time that like we were growing up, like she was pretty much just out of it. So I think it's just great to frame her in a story of like being the aging starlet who's like now being replaced by a younger, new, prettier version, which ends up being herself by a body horror bullshit, which is just really
And
fun.
she's played by Margaret Qualley, right?
Yeah, Margaret Qualley is great as the young Demi Moore character in this movie. It's just really just a like metaphor about like aging in Hollywood and like how like how women especially just aren't able to be treated to the age of grace. So um, I definitely recommend seeing it. I definitely recommend seeing it in a packed theater if you can. So very fun. And Dennis Quaid is very swarmy. So it's hilarious that he's in Reagan, and then the next month he's in this Gonzo body horror movie.
He's in like a right-wing propaganda movie that like
Yeah.
if you ask anybody who's like a right-wing best movie I've ever seen, and then you talk to anybody who watches movies regularly, they're like, that was horrible.
Yeah.
I kind of want to watch Reagan just for the confoundingness of it.
Oh yeah,
Uh
100%. And Dennis Quaid, I mean, look at his Wikipedia picture. He looks like he's a fucking like Joker, like body horror
he's
thing in
in his
itself right there.
he's in his Joker era right now.
Yeah.
Dennis Quaid. Yeah, I definitely want to check out The Substance. I want to see it in a theater. I've heard it's like one of the best movies of the year. I feel like 2024 has been a weak year for new releases. I don't know how you feel about that.
I mean, there's been some fun stuff, but like I
Like,
can't think of anything
like
that like
Twisters was fun, but I'm talking like great movies. Like I can't think like Dune 2 is probably the only one that'll like live on. Furiosa maybe. But
Mhm.
Furiosa, well, it's gonna have to like catch on when people check it out on HBO Max.
Yeah, exactly. And even then, like it's still taking its minute. I mean, I don't think I've had any movies I consider to be 5 star.
Yeah, no. Like there's Oppenheimer last year where everybody was like, "Oh, this is a real movie. This is good."
Mm.
Yeah, Barbenheimer last year. It just feels like this year will be remembered for Deadpool and Wolverine, and that's sad, in my opinion.
Mm.
Um, yeah, so movie. So I had to travel this past week, so I did not really get a time to sit down and put on something from my queue. I watched Back to the Future, which I feel like it was leaving Netflix, so I just hit it and it just took me away back to a pleasant place and time.
Mm.
I also caught a movie called Couples Retreat on the flight, so I watched it on my phone on a
That's
Southwest
very
flight.
much a plain movie. The Vince
Yeah,
Vaughn movie.
yeah, it's like the definition of it. It's not really funny.
I remember being mediocre. I remember there was like a Guitar Hero moment in it or whatever,
Yeah,
which like dates it.
I got like three-quarters through it before my flight landed, to be honest. And then I wasn't super inspired to watch the last 20, 30 minutes of the movie. If we're gonna be honest, it was just about like couples, like they get tricked to go to this couples retreat, but it's more of like couples therapy. And then
Mm.
they all have to address it, and that's the comedy of it. But I didn't think it was very funny. It's always interesting watching movies that aren't good. Speaking of movies that apparently aren't good, are you? Because I want to see this in theaters so bad. I just
Mm.
have literally not had the time to go see it.
Mm.
Megalopolis, the
Francis Ford Coppola.
Francis Ford Coppola dream vanity project. I've been hearing very, very mixed things. I've heard people be like, "Yeah, this movie's terrible. You should probably go see it, though. It's like mind-bogglingly bad." Which makes me think it's an entertaining bad movie, which is good, which makes it at least a decent movie in that regard.
I mean, as of right now, it has like a what's it called? 47% on Rotten Tomatoes, and its cinema score audience grade is D plus, which is like god awful for cinema score. I mean, not that D plus is good anywhere, but still for cinema score, that's just like
Still passing though. And that's how you got through high school, Tommy.
yeah, basically. But I've heard that everything about Megalopolis is just like just the vanity project to end all vanity projects. I mean, Francis Ford Coppola sold off part of his whole entire wine empire just to make this movie. I mean, you do have to hand him the that to like at least like, hey man, he has fucking blank check he made it himself, or it's a $120 million budget and it's grossed 5 million at the box office. I mean,
Well, this movie, it's kind of like
it,
Killers of the Flower Moon. It was never a movie that was designed to make money. It's a passion project that
mm,
got funding. Like Killers of the Flower Moon was made to win awards and or at least funded on that part to make awards. And then this is just an ego project is what this is.
mm,
And I really want to go see it. We also have Joker et la Deux coming out, which is getting just horrid, really weird reviews of it like being like a train wreck. And I'm more excited about big tentpole movies being train wrecks than they are being good this point. 'Cause I'm like,
mm.
yeah, let's go see Joker 2,
That's
which
yeah.
I didn't even go see Joker 1 in theater. I was so like, Taxi Driver and King of Comedy mixed together. I don't have any interest in seeing that.
Well, it's like how we all like one of the most memorable moments of our friend group in terms of movie theater experiences was when we saw Cats together
Oh
in
yeah, that was
2019 when
one of the greatest.
we got trashed and just like fucking like we got brunch, we got a lot of drinks, we just got like ridiculously trashed and we were just in the zone ready for fucking Cats. It was
The
hilarious.
bet because we went to like a 1 o'clock screening because it was the only time it was showing. In like the little dingy basement theater in the Lincoln Center AMC, which if you've never been to the Lincoln Center AMC is like like one of the best cinemas multiplexes around. And we're in like the dingy little basement one, and then my distinct memory was like halfway through it. There was like an 8-year-old girl there that was probably there because Taylor Swift was in Cats. And
Yeah.
then she just stood up and just said, "What the fuck?" Like she just blurted it out, like straight up,
Yeah,
and
like
it
what
was
the hell is
hilarious.
happening?
It was hilarious. Uh,
Yeah.
Cats, great movie to watch with people. Great movie to see in a crowded theater after a couple of drinks.
Yeah.
It's not a good movie though. It's
Not at all.
definitely
But
not a good movie.
probably the most memorable theatrical experience I've had in my life. If
It's
I had to
up
put it up
there.
there. Yeah.
It's up there. But speaking of a movie, I wish I could have seen in a movie theater. This is Blue Velvet.
She wore
Blue
blue.
Velvet is a masterpiece, a visionary story of sexual awakening. David Thompson, California Magazine. It will be attacked, argued about, and cherished for years to come. David Anson, Newsweek. Brilliant and unsettling, this is the work of an all-American visionary and a master film stylist, Stephen Schiff, Vanity Fair. Blue Velvet. Rated R.
You can see blue velvet.
Through my tears. So, Blue Velvet, the 1986 neo-noir mystery thriller film written and directed by David Lynch. When we start talking about David Lynch, we you know you're creeping into weird territory.
Yeah.
It blends like psychological horror and film noir. I guess the place to start is what did you think about the mystery of the movie, Tommy?
I thought that was interesting. I mean, this is my first time watching, obviously. I kind of expected more of a straightforward like movie. Like I always knew it was Dance Hopper, like his career revised in performance, and that his character like huffed like a gas mask. So I kind of figured it was gonna be almost like a slasher, where it was like he was gonna kill people in a like mask and like torture them or something like that. Instead, it was a lot different than that. I think there's definitely elements of like him just playing up the himmy villain, but in a way, I thought the mystery was a little engrossing in its in itself. Like I feel like overall though it was just taken away just by the substance more than the actual plot, if
Yeah,
that makes
well,
sense, of the vibes.
there's no plotting in it. I think that's the interesting part of it being called like put into a film noir. Like when you think of a film noir, there's always going to be like a mystery that the audience knows about. And this
Mhm.
one kind of subjects it on its head, being like the audience is just never going to actually understand the mystery of it. It's just a film about Jeffrey and his temptations and him leaning into them
Mhm.
and uncovering himself into a darker world that exists in his hometown versus a film of like a straightforward mystery of like trying to find thing out because the real mystery comes with his relationship with Dorothy played by Isabella Rossellini um and he has a little peeping Tom moment. I mean, I watched Back to the Future, right? And
Yeah.
another peeping Tom film um where he sees Frank come in and it basically has her in a sexual slavery kind of situation is probably the best way to uh, describe it, and clearly has kidnapped his her um, husband and son as well. And that's what kind of pushed Jeffrey, played by Kyle MacLachlan, forward into this mystery, trying to find out more. And this all comes after he's back from school. His father had an accident, and he finds an ear just out in the field, a
What?
decomposing ear.
Yeah. What's great about the opening of the movie is like how much just like takes away like the typical like 1960s 1950s like Pleasantville type suburbia type shit, and then it's just Jeffrey being like, oh gee, oh shucks kind of thing, and then he just finds an ear and he's like, what's this? And I just love just how the movie just unravels from there, where it's just like slowly just appeals away more and more layers. I just love like also when he first goes into the police station and tells the detective being like, "Hey, this is an ear right there. Oh, I'm sure that is an ear. Let me see that. Looks like you have an ear here, Jeffrey."
Did you didn't watch Arrested Development, right?
Yeah, yeah, I've watched all of
He,
it.
when they pull the dead doves out of the thing and he like looks into it, it's like, why would I expect anything else? It's like,
Yeah.
ah, sure, it's an ear, son. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, that's an ear. And I think what makes it interesting compared to other noir films of that kind is that like there could just be a world where there is absolutely no movie. There's no plotting to this at all. Like where Jeffrey hands the ear over and the detective goes, "Okay, we'll take it from here." And Jeffrey goes, "Okay." And then he works at the hardware store and he just does his thing and leaves.
Yeah.
But that's not the case. Like there's no like, "No, Jeffrey, we need you to go undercover," right? Like when you think of like what a typical Hollywood movie would do in this kind of situation, like would have him maybe butting his nose into places and the detective ultimately deciding to trust him and be like, "Okay, kid, we need you to go undercover, go to X bar, all the kind of things," and like getting more information onto what Frank's character actually does. And I think that's like a great part of the mystery is that like the audience does not really know what Frank does, nor do we ever really find out what Frank does. We
Yeah.
just know he's like a malicious, bad person involved probably in some kind of drug dealings, and has control of people in the police force in the town of Lumberton. Like, we
This
get the little clues of it, but it's all from Jeffrey's perspective, where there's a scene early on where he goes, where Kyle MacLachlan goes and talks to the detective, Sandy's father. Sandy, played by Laura Dern, obviously, who's kind of your mischievous youth who's, hears her father's calls and wants to be involved, but also wants to be adjacent involved, doesn't really want to like face the risk of it, and kind of forms this relationship with Jeffrey because of it, through there. But when they're sitting there and he's like, "Listen, when this case is all wrapped up, I will let you know more details, but right now I can't tell you anything else about it." And that's kind of where we're left blank. And like for you, like
that's how
this,
he feels as a viewer. I mean, this is a movie I watched this movie 2 nights ago, before we recorded. And I think of all the things that were retained over the past 2 days, none of it has to do with anything with the plot. To be honest, I think that's something that might come a little bit more of rewatches. But even then, like I feel like compared to some Lynch movies, this isn't as confusing as like Mulholland Drive, where like that was just I don't know what the fuck I watched.
you gave that like a 4.5, so I don't know why you're.
Well, it's still. I mean, I meant that in a good way. Whereas, like, it was just like confusing, just like mind fuck of a movie. This isn't a mind fuck of a movie. More so, is it just like you don't know everything. I think
Well,
this
it's
is good.
it's all character driven, right? It's all about
Yeah,
Jeffrey, and exploring his relationship with Dorothy and Sandy at the same time. That's ultimately what this movie comes down to, right? Like he's in love with two women in two different ways. Sandy in a more traditional relationshipy kind of way, and I think for Dorothy, he almost feels sorry for her because he gets caught in the closet, and then she starts like hitting him and treating him with all this sexual, like abusive style. And she's holding him by knife point, so he kind of has to go with it. And then Frank comes in the door and he has to run into the closet and he witnesses what Frank does. "Don't look at me," and like hitting her and stuff. And then as his relationship with Dorothy continues, Dorothy wants him to hit her. She was like begging for it, and you see that internal struggle through the little candlelight,
mm,
flickering on and off. Like we see these motions of him kind of struggling with that while talking with somebody with like Sandy, who is living more of a regular contemporary life. And it's a very interesting dichotomy that I think Jeffrey kind of explores and goes through. And I think it's this overwhelming sense of wanting to try to help this woman out that he takes this mystery upon him. Um,
it's definitely just very interesting how like just was those just the two between Jeffrey and Sandia. How like I think it comes crashing to a head during the scene where Isabella Rossellini, Dorothy shows up on like the lawn naked while like he's about to get attacked by like Sandy's ex-boyfriend, and Sandy's ex-boyfriend's just like,
Whoa,
oh dude,
whoa,
like
whoa,
I'm
whoa.
not getting involved with this, like I didn't know, I'm sorry,
He's like,
like
you did
you
that to her. You did that to her. My bad, dude. I'm
yeah.
out of here.
And
Yeah,
then just how it goes into like the house of like where like it's just so funny where like they go inside Laura Dern's house and like she's like, Mom, can you come in here? Can you call the cops? And she's like, oh, what's the matter, honey? And then she sees that and she's like,
just like,
oh, like all right here. The way that just felt must have felt so awkward. I think that Laura Dern did some great crying acting too, though. When Isabella was reading, he's like, "Oh, you're my secret lover, McLaughlin."
yeah, and she's just mortified after they spent the whole evening dancing in like this
and
1950s
professing their
club where
love.
professing their love, like it's super sweet, and then just a boom, a bomb dropped
Yeah.
onto that relationship.
Uh,
So
I want
this,
I want
uh,
to circle back though quickly on the scene of like when he goes inside the apartment, Dorothy's apartment for the first time, and just how much of like a Hitchcockian way it feels of like him just going inside in the closet, watching her strip immediately, and then like looking at what's happening and things like, oh my God, when it takes almost the De Palma route of like her like taking him out of the closet and just being like, all right, you don't touch me, don't look
yeah,
at me, and then all that stuff. I thought it was just a very like crazy noir way of just like almost like giving Rossellini like a femme fatale there in the beginning.
yeah.
Until then you see it get flipped on its head by Dennis Hopper coming in and being like, oh, like she is just a broken person in general. I mean,
She's
like,
a completely broken person. And we learn from the picture after that is her husband and son have been kidnapped by her. We hear the phone call with Frank and him wanting to talk with Don and Don Jr. Over the phone. Like we just see this woman put into a desperate situation. Now, for you, Tommy, is it something where you felt like you wanted to learn more of like how she ended up into this situation? Because that's never explained.
I didn't really think I needed more. I think that what was given was given. I think that putting this through the eyes of Jeffrey is a great idea. I mean, we didn't need like an exposition dump of like, the prequel that movie of like Frank like abducting the kid or something like that.
Yeah, I'm personally of the opinion that like if you can just let a film tell its story without any real exposition dumps, that benefits the film greatly. I think you can feel the apparent danger. And I know when you're watching something like a Lynch film, feeling is going to be much more prevalent than like note to note plotting. Like that's not what he does with his films. He wants you to have a
If you're looking at a Lynch film for plotting, then you're gonna have a bad time.
yeah, well, except for like Twin Peaks season one, because that does actual plotting. But that was also Mark Frost involvement. It's not a straight up
Balance it
Lynch.
out. Yeah.
It's balanced out there. And Laura Dern, so interesting fact for her. So she was enrolled at UCLA Film School. Her father, Bruce Dern, famous actor at this point in time. She auditioned for Blue Velvet right before she enrolled, found out 2 days before she got the part. She wanted to take a sabbatical. The film school told her no and told her she would be insane for giving up her education and taking this role in Blue Velvet. And there was an article in Variety a couple months ago talking about this. And now the school teaches the film Blue Velvet, and it pisses her off because
It it is kind of funny. Like, we've covered movies before, like The Thing, where like at the time is critically reviled, and like nowadays it's known as like a modern day classic. One thing that's really fun on the Blu-ray that I rented from Best Video, one of the special features on the Blu-ray is literally Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel's
oh,
review on the show.
Ebert
And
hated this movie.
Ebert was like, "This is filth. Like, how could he, it was a little receipt to go through this? Like, what the fuck is wrong
Yes,
with this?"
he has the famous clip of him saying, "The way he dredged out Isabella Rossellini out there was just despicable." Like he hated this movie. And then I know it tied back together when he enjoyed Mulholland Drive and Lynch kind of gave him a cold shoulder at a red carpet event because he was like, "I remember what you said about my past work. What
Yeah.
makes this one so much different than the other one?" But I think
So
this one, dwells more into the psychological horrors of somebody trapped in it. And as you said, it's through Jeffrey's eyes and what he can do to try to help her when he has really no tools or skill sets to even remotely help her out. Because like if I think of a neo noir film, it's or film film noir, it's going to involve some kind of detective, right?
Mm.
Somebody who works in this field, and he is certainly not that. And as their relationship kind of continues, his Jeffries and Dorothy's relationship, he gets caught by Frank at some point. And that's when we get the most excited, fun part of the movie, I would say, quote unquote, fun. Um, just the scene where we go to Benjamin's house and it's him and his
It's
cronies.
such
It's so funny.
it's such a great like one night scene, and it also made me feel like very much like the '90s movies of the independent movies at the time, like your Tarantino's of the world, where I just think that it was such a great heater, and especially what's his name, Dean Stockwell as Ben is just an all-time one scene performance right there, where he takes over the movie essentially. Like
He
you
was
can tell
great.
that
He
you
was
can tell that
great.
he's yeah, you can tell that he was used to like Dennis Hopper coming through, and he's like, all right, let me just get through, let me just get this guy out of here as soon as I can. And he like sized up the fact like, okay, Cal McLaughlin's clearly the bitch of the group, so I'm gonna punch him just to like make sure that Dennis
Amuse
Hopper's on my
them.
side. Yeah.
Did it not feel like if this movie was made 10 years later, that was a Bill Murray role?
Oh yeah, I could easily see that.
I was watching Dean Stockwell and I was like, Bill Murray would have Bill Murray would have killed in this role. Like
Oh
absolutely
yeah,
killed in this role.
like
Uh,
straight up deadpan. And I was shocked that we didn't see Ben throughout the rest of the movie because that was a scene I knew too. I knew there was a scene of like Dean Stockwell holding a microphone, and that was the extent of what I knew of the scene.
and it's just him lip syncing to a cassette
And it was
tape.
great. Yeah, it was awesome. Some more Roy Orbison tape.
Yeah, and I love how this combines like David Lynch. David Lynch definitely has a style of loving these like old love ballads, and he loves the white picket fence Americana as a setting. Like I think it's kind of apparent in a lot of his work, most prominently like Twin Peaks. Like that whole show revolves around like white picket fence, North Country, suburbia, very rural suburbs, some logging town, and then you have all this stuff that's going on under the pleasant tones that you would think
Yeah.
would exist here. Like there is a ruthless criminal underbelly, and
In a
you see this here. Like you see that origin of that idea kind of sprinkle out and kind of take over Twin Peaks.
yeah, and definitely in a way, this feels like the trial run for him doing Twin Peaks. And I mean that in a good way, where it's just him just like showing a lot of his themes coming up. I feel like before this, now I haven't seen Eraserhead, and I haven't seen The Elephant Man, but I have seen Dune, and I feel like this is definitely not a movie that like this is his first time really touching the suburbia in a way. Correct me if I'm wrong about Eraserhead, but
Eraserhead is its own thing.
yeah.
I don't even know how to describe it because I haven't watched it in a couple of years. To be completely honest, it's definitely more urban. Like the setting is more urban. This is the first case of him really taking suburban, but this was a big reach for Lynch because Dune was supposed to be like his blockbuster breakout. He basically had the option of Dune or directing Return of the Jedi. He made the wrong choice, obviously. Although the
Well, in a way though, can you imagine him dealing with fucking George Lucas's bullshit? Because I think that's why he dropped out the
oh, it
project. Where he was
is.
just like,
I play
he's like, I don't want fucking like George Lucas to tell me about
on
Ewoks. Like,
our
you,
he has that great video of him
yeah,
describing the thing. If you have not listened to our Mulholland Drive episode, listen to our Mulholland Drive episode. The beginning of that episode is literally the clip of him talking about his experience and how it was just giving him the biggest migraine. He explained what a Wookiee is, and at this point my headache started really hurting.
yeah.
Um, but if, for Lynch, he's a very emotional person, so he took the bad reception of Dune
Oh, dude got
close,
eviscerated.
very close to heart here, and it kind of led into like a more emotional outpouring into something like Blue Velvet.
I
Um,
think that what happened, to put it in context, so David Lynch at this point, he was known for making Eraserhead, which was like a fun cult movie at the time. Then he came out with The Elephant Man, which I got Academy a love and was very popular. Then next he was going to do Dune, a big budget sci-fi epic. and it bombed at the box office. It had a $40 million budget and it made 37 million. That's after rentals. So people just did not like the movie whatsoever. And at this point, he was couldn't get arrested essentially. And the fact is that Dino De Laurentiis gave him a deal to make Blue Velvet with complete artistic freedom and Final Cut privileges. But the stipulation was that the filmmaker could take a cut in his salary and work off a budget of only 6 million. So he got his blank check, but only for $6 million.
And the interesting thing he said was it was the song Blue Velvet, Bobby Vinton's classic love ballad. There's something mysterious about it. It made me think about things. And the first thing I thought of were lawns and the neighborhoods. And I felt like that score, paired with Angelo Badalamenti, who is Lynch's longtime composer. I think from this project on, all of Lynch's works are scored by Badalamenti, really kind of creates that mysterious feeling throughout the film. I also wanted to comment on like Lynch's uses of transitions. Um, there's one where they're discussing scissors, and then it cuts straight away to a pair of scissors cutting a tape line of the caution going around, and the film is just filled with a lot of little cuts like that that really just like this film is made with great transitions, and you can feel that in like the editing and the pacing of the film. And it just kind of adds to that like artistic style and that vision that Lynch has. Every frame counts in a Lynch movie, and everything that's going on has its place and has its purpose, and it's all been directed by him.
Well, it's insane how well this movie runs because originally the cut he first turned in was 4 hours long, like about 4 hours, like, give or take. There's a scene of Megan Mullally, from Will and Grace. She was apparently going to be like Jeffrey's college sweetheart, and then that scene got completely cut out. And usually when you hear like, oh, like a movie got cut from 4 hours to 2 hours, it's like, oh, there's so much left on the cutting room floor. And like in this point, you don't feel that. You don't feel like, oh, there's so much more that could have been explored here.
It would have just been more background plotting, and I think it's done intentionally. I think part of
Mm,
what makes Lynch's films uh, really connect with people is that the details are left up to your imagination and into your mind, and you can fill into the gaps of, say, for example, how Dorothy ended up into this particular situation. Like it's not explained to us at all, and there's definitely subtext into what happens. From my perspective, it seemed like her husband Don was working with Frank, had a deal go bad, and was now kidnapping and ransoming him, and basically using his wife however he pleased at
mm.
any point in time as payment, right? And it's very much led to believe that it's his ear that we find, and then when we go back into Dorothy's apartments at the end of the movies, we see the man in the yellow jacket, the detective's partner, and we also see a man missing the ear, and I'm led to believe that's Don, if I had to make my assumption, because it's a character we just have not seen throughout the movie.
Yeah. It's insane to think because, I look back on this movie. I was like, wait, did this come out? Like, what part of this happened? What happened here? Especially the Don character. I would have expected like we would have like, seen him more throughout. So, I feel like this is going to be a little more rewarding on second watch of knowing a little bit more what's going on. So we haven't really touched upon him yet, and I want to just explain Dennis Hopper what his career was like at the time. He was floundering in a way. He had his big hit with Easy Rider, and at this point, he was mainly doing like bit parts and movies. Like, I'm gonna list off some movies for you, Timmy. In the 3 years before Blue Velvet came out, and let me know if you've heard of any of these movies before. All right. So I'm gonna start off with 83, Rumblefish.
Classic, obviously.
Yeah. Some random Coppola movie that's been forgotten. Didn't make dent at the box office. The Osterman Weekend.
Mm-hmm. That's
Um,
a movie.
yeah, that's a movie. Jungle Warriors.
Another great film. I heard that one really set the world on fire.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I'm gonna stop doing these for every
Some
single one. Keep going.
Yeah, but some random Robert Alton movie, OC and Stigs. Didn't make a lasting legacy, even though I'm sure it's good. Again, that's Altman. That'd be 29K at the box office. That's not yeah, exactly. And then also we got My Science Project did not make a dent. Riders of the Storm. I've heard that one before. This movie I love, but I wouldn't say it's a great career choice. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Um, I'll save this a little more for when we cover that next week, the first movie. But to put it in perspective, this is a movie that has Dennis Hopper chainsaw fighting Leatherface in a chainsaw
Honestly,
duel.
kind of sick.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome, but it's not exactly what you'd say is like a great high profile role for him.
No, that's a you're paying my full rate and I need money. Okay, I'll do it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what
So, and
that
then
says to me.
yeah, so then he went did River's Edge, which I've heard that movie. I don't think he did he have a big part in that. Let me check real quick. This is Wikipedia going through. He was like fourth or fifth build. So at this point, he was doing bit parts. He never really had like a starting role. Like he was an easy rider. Blue Velvet really just brought him back. And this the 1-2 hit of Blue Velvet and then Hoosiers. And all of a sudden, it's like, okay, now he's the guy we see in like so many movies going forward from here. And he is great in this movie. I think that he's just like a ball of chaotic energy and in a way that the movie just sort of really livens up when he's on screen.
Oh
And
yeah,
he's
he brings all the energy into this movie because you know, Jeffrey, Kyle MacLachlan, and Sandy, they both give very soft, gentle performances, and Hopper comes in with just this manic energy. Like you don't know what the hell this guy is going to do at any given point in this movie. No clue.
it
Um,
reminds me of I don't know if you ever seen the movie Something Wild, the Jonathan Demme movie. Where very similar. This is what I was thinking throughout this. Where Something Wild's a movie where basically Jeff Daniels is on a road trip with Melanie Griffith, and it's playing out as like a typical like road trip comedy. Then all of a sudden, halfway through the movie, Ray Liotta shows up as her ex-boyfriend, and then the movie turns from a fun, quirky like road comedy to a fucking like thriller, straight up like horror movie where it's just like, oh fuck. And that's how it feels like with this. For the second that you see Dennis Hopper, while there's still a little bit of menace underneath, you understand what the menace is. The second Hopper's on screen, you're like, oh my god,
oh
like
yeah,
he's taking over control of this completely. He is the movie at this point. The tempo is what he says the tempo is.
yeah, and you see it with all his little cronies and how he commands all of them. One of them being Jack Nance, who stars in Eraserhead, is in Twin Peaks, longtime friend of David Lynch. I love when Jack Nance he just walks around
Yeah,
and just keeps
his
going up
crew.
to, "I, my name's Kyle," just like keeps saying that repeatedly.
Yeah, his crew is Jack Nance, and the other one is Brad Dourif, Chucky himself.
Yeah, it's a pretty wild crew that Lynch assembled there, and it just like despite the situation that Jeffrey falls into, it's an overall very entertaining moment when they're on the screen and they're trapped in the car.
Mm.
And when they take Jeffrey out of the car, you don't know if he's going to kill him or what, and they just beat the crap out of him and leave him for dead, basically, in this lumber yard.
Mm.
And
It's yeah, it's a sense of menace because he definitely feels just unchained. Um,
and I think it's the beauty of that is the way it leaves it is, Isabella Rossellini, Dorothy, she's in the car. Kyle MacLachlan gets knocked out. He wakes up the next morning and walks home. We're not even really given the perspective of like, and the movie's not even framed in thinking, oh my gosh, what's happening to Dorothy now? Because they were caught together as just the neighborhood kid, even though they were having like a weird sexual relationship, but it wasn't. Uh, it was weird. It was definitely she wanted to be hit, and he was not comfortable with that. It was very clear to me um, through McLaughlin's performance. It's and then he goes on the date with Sandy. Like we don't see anything from that underworld until her ex-boyfriend Mike pulls up at his house, and then we see Isabella Rossellini walking towards him. I'm like, oh my god, that's what happened to her. She was just beaten to bits and left naked on the street by these people. And
mm,
it's kind of one of those like devastating scenes, and it makes you almost go, wow, I wasn't I you it was such a shock because you weren't prepared for it because the film had completely taken that notion out of the plotting, out of the story that was currently going on. We just haven't think about it. He hasn't thought about it. Just has not been conveyed to the audience. And I think it works as a really great shock effect of being like, oh, that's what these people do to these to victims.
mm.
And if they want to make a statement, this is what they do.
Yeah, exactly. Just dumping her out there and be like, all right, like deal with it. So this is a movie that I feel like would be fun to see in the theater. It just depends on the right crowd. There was like a story on Twitter like a few months ago. Some Chicago theater did a screening of this, and then some like frat bros got in and they
Oh,
were laughing throughout the sexual assault scenes and everything like that, where it's just like, oh God.
ooh, don't.
Yeah, exactly.
If
Yeah,
you
it's like learn your moment.
if you want to laugh during like the Benjamin parts, like I get it, it's
Yeah.
tense, but it's just like some physical gasp, but it is funny in
Yeah.
itself, like the situation. And like Lynch always has this great way of just casting like background actors that are you just would never see in another movie, and they're just like distinct looking
I just
characters,
love
and
the
they
blonde
all
girl
have
with the
like,
afro.
yeah, the blonde girl with the afro, and then when they're at the car, she just gets on the roof of the
Dance on
car and just
tops.
starts dancing. Like it's just so bizarre and so out there. Um, how did the ending land for you in Dorothy's apartment? When Jeffrey finds the bodies and he's trying to contact the police chief.
I think first of all, the man in yellow, the detective was John Williams, was that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that having Detective John Williams just be there and be like his brain essentially like taken out a little bit.
Yeah, it's creepy. And then the man with the missing ear, who I believe is Ron in this situation. And we find out that, during the movie, Jeffrey stalks Frank Booth and starts taking pictures and stuff like that. And he sees a handsome man in an alligator briefcase with a mustache, and it turns out that's Frank's disguise. That's how he moves around town when he does not want to be discovered, and he's coming up the stairs and tracking him on the police radio. And it was the moment where we realized Jeffrey's character is not as helpless as we thought, because he's Jeffrey is helpless throughout this movie. He doesn't he puts himself into situations that he just has to quietly sit through and try to get himself out of to live. But this is the one time where he takes action when he grabs the gun from Detective Williams and hides in the closet and kind of throws him for a misdirect, being like, okay, so for everybody listening at home, I do not know where this cut off here. Zoom crashed and then reloaded where we record our podcasts. There's no way I can actually edit this to make it even sound coherent because it crashed in the middle of a sentence. So this is a notice to everybody listening at home. I apologize for any issues. Tommy, would you like to say something on top of that?
Yeah, so on my and Tim just froze mid-sentence. And I was like, oh. So
And Tommy's literally calling me. And
I'm calling, I'm like, you froze. I'm like, oh shit. Let me look at
I
my
hear my
text
phone. I'm like,
messages.
who's calling? I'm like, oh God. Oh, all right. This isn't good.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. So uh
little behind the movie magic for you all
I'm
on
trying to
how the
remember
podcast gets made.
last thing you're talking about
We were
Ben.
talking about the ending,
Yeah, so
and just
first of
about
all,
Jeffrey and his agency.
I was wrong. It was not John Williams. John Williams is Laura Dern's father. He was not the one with the
Oh,
brain shutout. That was Gordon. Gordon's the one with his brain shut out. I thought it was just very eerie seeing him right there. And you see the character of Don, who we haven't seen throughout this movie, just right there with his ear off. And just like, again, Jeffrey goes back in the closet.
it's
I thought it
freaky.
was just very clever of him taking the, what's it called, police
The gun
radio. And
and the gun.
yeah, and the gun, and then saying like, "I'm going into this room right now." Then all of a sudden, Frank comes in. He's like, "Ha! I bet you didn't know I had a police radio, did you?"
Yeah, and then I that's what I was also saying right when it cut off. So I'm really hoping this timed out well. I will have to listen to how it is and see if I can do any magic in the editing booth, but I kind of doubt it because it's really tough when it happens
Yeah,
mid-sentence. We need to look into a new client because this is not great.
hear that,
Um,
Zoom?
but yeah, you hear that, Zoom? We're threatening
It's
you.
not
We're
2020
threatening you right
anymore.
now.
Get ready.
Yeah, your stock's about to go down when you lose one subscription.
So, but overall, I mean, I think that it was just the ending was just a great way to wrap it up and everything like that. And I love how just it just comes up to like sometime later, Jeffrey and Sandy are just in the relationship, they're happy, and then Rosaline, and then all of a sudden Tom Beaumont is recovered. In a way, I was wondering, like, is this a dream scenario right here? Is this like Kyle MacLachlan
Yeah, well,
actually died in the end, and then this is him imagining what life is like after?
it could be. It could very well be. That's the beauty of a Lynch film. You can make that interpretation yourself.
I am a star. I'm a star, I'm a star, I'm a star. I am a big, bright, shining star.
All right, Tommy, who is the star of the show? This is a very well acted film.
Mm.
I happen to think there is one above the other.
Yeah, I think
I,
if you have to go all the way to the top, we're doing Dennis Hopper right here. I think that
oh yeah,
he's the movie. This movie is like as memorable as it is. I feel like even not to say that the rest of the movie's not good, but I just think that he is just a force of nature in this. It's just amazing to think like how this just revitalized his career. He became just like a staple of movies again right after this, whereas his career's on the flat, right, like we discussed earlier. And you can see why. He just is awesome. Um, there's not one part of this movie when he's on screen where I'm bored.
oh yeah, and I feel like when you look at Kyle MacLachlan, Isabella Rossellini, Laura Dern, you could probably pick and choose from the list of actors and actresses who would do just as good of a job. But I don't know if anybody's pulling the performance that Dennis Hopper is. Like, he's just so menacing and unhinged, in a really unique way. I love like the use of the gas masks too. It's just as like an intimidation. It almost seems like it's something that he uses to like wire himself up right before he's about to do something
It's like a
bad.
psychosexual thing for him.
Yeah, and it makes you think that killing is psychosexual for him.
Mm,
Uh, but yeah, I would say it's his performance. It revitalized his career.
mm.
He's easily the star of the show here.
According to the IMDb, Willem Dafoe was considered, which would have been
Okay, he
interesting.
might be the he. I think he might be almost too young at
Yeah,
that
he would have
point.
been in like his like 20s, I like to say at that time.
Late 20s, early
Yeah.
30s. Like I feel like you needed somebody a little bit older
Um,
to pull that one
yeah, and
off.
before we go off to the next category, I do want to mention this is our second month in a row covering a Kyle MacLachlan movie, and boy, did he look a lot better than this than he did in Showgirls.
Well, that's just he's like 10 years younger here, and that's also
No,
Showgirls
I meant
being
his
show.
performance. I meant his performance in general.
Oh yeah, well the Showgirls is
Yeah.
just a
I mean,
mess.
at least we don't
I
have
like that.
Kyle
I like
MacLachlan.
that's our reference. I like that that's our reference point now of just like a movie being an entire
Yeah,
mess. It's just
we don't
Showgirls.
have Kyle MacLachlan the emo haircut throughout this movie, which is a great thing.
A little upsetting, but we get a little more 80s punk from him with the little earring
Yeah,
and like the little hair wave,
yeah.
flock of seagulls kind of haircut.
Ah, are you ready, comedy partner? Waka waka.
So Tommy, would Blue Velvet, the psychosexual noir, work as a Muppet movie? You tell me.
Absolutely not. Even though David Lynch himself sounds like Kermit the Frog.
He does sound like Kermit the Frog. I feel like I feel like David Lynch could make a great Muppet movie.
Yeah.
I feel like he would have to do something original with it. I would not want him to adapt one of his works
Um,
as a Muppet
I
film.
just share this in our group chat, and we'll probably have to share this on social media. There's this artist Bruce McCorkindale who does like Muppet movie commissions. He's done one for our buddy Will before, and this one is Dr. Teeth as Frank huffing the gas mask, which it's a great little
I like
yeah,
it.
it's a great little starking imagery right there. But overall, I mean, you can't have a movie like this be with Muppets. It's too serious. I mean, I don't want to see like Miss Piggy as like Isabella Rossellini like dumped down a lawn.
No. And Dr. Teeth just like abusing her. No, I think we're good. Although it's like the it would be funny when she's teasing Jeffrey and she's just like, let me hit you. Hiya! And then she does her patented karate chop. But you're talking me into it, and we can't do that because this film has themes that are too adult for the Muppets, okay?
Yeah,
We can't do it.
we
It's
can't
not
cross the
silly enough.
streams.
We can't cross the streams.
Though we could just
Ray,
though
we're gonna have to cross the stream.
though we could just isolate the Ben scene and just make that Muppet adaptation.
That could be a Muppet. That's a Muppet
Yeah.
scene right there. A weird artsy Muppet scene would be very funny. All right, Tommy, review time. Give me your score out of 5.
All right, so this is, I think, my favorite Lynch movie I've seen so far. I think that this is definitely uses his talents to the best capabilities. Just great performances right now overall. I mean, Dennis Hopper is incredible. I feel like I didn't really understand the plot a ton, but I mean, that's what you're gonna be given when you're given a Lynch movie, and that didn't take away anything from it. I'm gonna go 4.5 out of 5. I love this, and I definitely want to rewatch this soon. So.
Yeah, I would also give this a 4.5 out of 5. I love the visual storytelling from Lynch here. I think it's a really well-directed film, very interesting premise, and a mystery that's kind of more character driven. and about somebody leaning into their temptations and trying to get involved in something bigger that they should not be involved in. So 4.5 out of 5. Tommy, any final thoughts before we wrap up this
All right,
episode?
I want to give a correction out there. I did not give Mulholland Drive 4.5 out of 5 when we covered it. I gave it a 3 out of 5, and I stand by that. For a first watch, I was very confusing.
How did you find that?
I have Letterbox. I've logged on Letterbox and said full thoughts and haven't seen it. I looked at my old review.
Okay, fair enough. Fair
Yeah,
enough.
that's what's good about having a Letterbox. I guess take it there. Sponsorship right there, Letterbox. Come on. All right. Anyways, thank you guys so much for listening.
Tommy, if Letterboxd sponsored every movie podcast that has random people using Letterbox, they would be out of money.
Exactly. And there's a high quota of people. I think the Venn diagram of Letterbox users and movie podcasters is probably like a flat circle.
Yeah, it's one giant circle, except for me. I have a Letterbox account. I just haven't used it in like 2 years.
Yeah. So, well, anyways, thank you guys so much for listening. You can follow us on social media at Seen It Pod. That's on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, your occasional thread. And also leave us a 5-star review. Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Helps us out, helps us grow the show. Next week, we're going to be covering the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We have a very special guest for that. Get ready. I saw it in theaters last night. It rocked in theaters. Can't wait to talk about that movie.
I know you're going to watch it again
Probably.
beforehand. Right? Cody Tucker joining us?
Yeah. So,
Very excited. We had him back on for Halloween when we covered that 2 years ago. Very excited to have him joining us back again. His podcast has grown crazily. So very excited to speak with him again about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. All right, Tommy, everyone, thank you all so much for listening. Let's go Mets.
yeah.
And we'll see you again next week.